This is the vibe of the week, but I guess it's
I need you to shut
I guess it's Kitty's head. It
the
is.
entire fuck up for an Oakland legend, please. Just be quiet.
Yo, I'm making money, see? So, yo, world, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round. I'm the new fool in town, and my sound's laid down by the underground. I drink a bottle of Hennessy you got on your shelf, so just let me introduce myself.
I feel like this is like the
Humpty, pronounced with the umpty.
Yo, ladies, oh, how I like to funk thee. And all the rappers in the top 10, please allow me to bump thee. I'm stepping tall, y'all.
We're definitely gonna get sued by Digital Underground.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
You act like
My mom, no, my mom. Is my mic? My mic's on, right?
Your mic is on.
My mom knew people from Digital Underground. That ass.
are you good?
I'm serious. No, seriously. Like my
I
mom.
never thought you had a radio voice until today. Because I don't know. Are you good?
Yes, I'm good. I'm telling you.
I didn't hear half the all I heard was your Louisiana come out.
Louisiana.
What you mean, baby? You mean that?
Nah.
All right,
Maybe it was one of the Mississippi side.
Yeah, there's some Mississippians and Louisiana mixed in it. Anyway,
A weird southern mutt over here.
What's up, people?
definitely.
Live from the Good News studio.
Community
Yes,
Punch Bowl.
Pete Camarillo's finally here. It's Touchdowns and Tangents.
In studio. All three of us in studio. It's been a while.
I know, it's been a minute. What's up, guys?
And yeah, and I'm proud to just announce that I'm the newest member of the Hall of Croc game. I have
We're not talking about drugs, I promise you.
Welcome to the clan.
Being on that is a different story.
Hey,
Croc Clan.
no.
You can't do Croc Clan.
Croc Clan.
Croc Clan can't be a thing. Nah, for numbers of ways.
Is this like a off-brand at Costco?
It's a double entendre of like just bad shit.
It's a double
Like, no
entendre.
way you spin that isn't good.
Crips,
There's no way
Bloods.
you flip it around and
Crips,
everyone's
Bloods,
bad.
Clans,
All of a sudden you
murderers.
got a coalition of hate and
It's a negative,
anger,
negative.
aggression.
It's like if Superman was born God, but then was really the devil. Like,
But
no,
yeah.
that's a horrible story.
Now in about 3 months, once your Crocs get a little age, you throw some Chibbits on there. I got some right now. Town business.
Okay, I'm put a big ass.
Shout out to my boo Kelsey, the hookup.
That's what's up. I'm gonna put a big ass.
He's gonna get a 73 on there. Watch, bet.
We
Bet.
Yeah, on the hip, bro. You already know. I'm gonna get the 73s on the back of the Croc.
You guys should definitely be sponsored by Croc. I'm going to reach out to them.
I'm with it.
I got so many
I'm with
hashtags. Croc foo,
Oh my
Croc
god.
of it.
Young people collect Jordans. You're going to go collect rare Crocs.
Young Saint Le Croc.
Okay, I see it. I
I'm going to get some limited edition
Cordon
Crocs.
Let Cordon Croc. Croca-Cola. See, man.
Balenci Croc.
Balenci Croca.
Balenci Caca.
No, Balenci Croca. Like,
All right, man. Well, for those of you who
like
don't
a fat
know,
kid in a candy shop.
you're listening to Touchdowns and Tangents live on the Good News Sports, live on the Good News Radio app, everywhere you get podcasts. Shout out to the X Squad affiliate. Shout out to FBC Radio. Shout out to everybody who messes with us. Got a crazy show this week. Draft and my birthday are officially a week away.
Oh, shit.
I'm by no means prepared for this year's draft, which is weird because I usually am really by this time. But yeah, I mean, that's just the way dad life is now.
Well, the draft is kind of, I mean, it's surprising that the NFL is actually on schedule to do everything regularly and hopefully with
That's why it's hard being without the tent pole that is the NFL Combine.
Yeah,
because the Combine really kind of is like, it's like the midterm. Like, oh shit, I got to start paying attention in class now.
Yeah, and then also highlight some like cool,
Yeah, players move up.
Players
move down. You check. You look at players who maybe you didn't think would test well. That maybe they did. Now you go look at them a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, like after the first round this year, I mean, who are we really gonna? What big names are out there in the second and then even third round that like are popular names that you hear on normal news groups and everything?
Yeah. So we got some draft talk coming up. hopefully this episode everything goes right, and I'm sure we'll have something next week too. But it'd be great if we could get out to an event. But I mean, things are just opening up, so it's unlikely, doubtful.
Is it weird? It's like,
Are you alive?
are any of us alive? Nah, I'm playing. This year's literally almost halfway over.
Yeah.
I know. 5 months,
This
more
is-
than a quarter.
Does this feel? This
This is
feels
like the
shorter.
6 minute. This is like the 6 minute mark in the second quarter, basically.
This whole year just feels shorter than like 3 weeks in fucking April of last year. What?
It's gonna start going by even faster now because things are gonna start opening up. You're gonna start wanting to do more stuff on the weekend. You're gonna want to start living or trying to live regular life.
Things are opening up, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's just getting nuts out there.
I mean,
It's
I've
like-
been out more the past 2 months than probably the 10 months before that,
Yeah.
for sure. Combined.
And I was at the beach all day, and like there were people like scattered, about. There's always people running on the trails and everything, but man, it was so empty and peaceful.
Yeah.
It's not gonna look like that once June gets here.
All right, we got our first guest headed into some draft talk. Hit the green button.
Girl, come here.
Whoa. Sorry about that. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pasadena tonight. What's up, guys?
What's up, Gilbert? How you doing?
Doing well, not too bad. How are things with you guys?
Good, man. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, excellent. Man.
Yeah,
So obviously, the draft is coming up a week from now. What are you looking forward to the Chargers adding in the draft next week?
yeah, that's like the top question I've been getting for the past month. So, you know what? I'll take it from you guys, and I like this show, so I got no problem with repetitive questions. But that is the grand question: what are the Chargers going to do? And actually, I've been talking, so I kind of forgot. You said position or player?
What's the position? Yeah, the position
Okay.
need that they need to add.
Yeah, it's got to be either left tackle, or I guess offensive tackle, or cornerback. That is kind of the biggest need. But I'll give you the long answer because the Chargers are picking they're picking 13th, and you have like no pick. If you want a left tackle or cornerback, like Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn, or you want Rashawn Slater, or you want Penei Sewell, those guys are going in the top 10.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do at 13? So I think they need a left tackle, they need a cornerback, but I think they might have to be forced to look somewhere else, or you got to trade up. But there are some talented pass rushers that you need an edge rusher behind Joey Bosa. There could be an intriguing wide receiver from Alabama. You might kind of you want to get risky. You want kind of a luxury pick. You maybe take a chance on a Waddle or Devonta Smith. But I think for position, they got to get an offensive tackle. But at the same time, you don't want to reach.
Yeah, we just have to get the obvious stuff out the way first.
Don't blame you.
But what's the pick that would just make you kind of, I don't know, crumple up your piece of paper and say, what?
I don't know, to be honest. A lot of people, whenever I put the idea of a wide receiver on Twitter, I get that sense that the Charger fans will do that. If they'll get frustrated, they'll rip up the paper, they'll flip over a table and get pissed off with the wide receiver. If it's at 13 and you see like those players I mentioned, Slater, Sewell, Horn, and Surtain are all gone, and you end up with a Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith, you can't get mad at that. Just imagine Justin Herbert with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams.
Definitely.
And now one of those two guys, Waddle or Devonta. It is a luxury pick. You don't need a wide receiver. You could find a wide receiver in free agency. We saw guys like Juju Smith-Schuster who couldn't get a deal and had to go back on a one-year deal to Pittsburgh. So there's plenty of wide receivers. I get their frustration, but again, to me, it goes back to not reaching. Like I have mixed results where I'm not gonna try to make it seem like I'm a draft expert, but I see a lot of mixed results from the scouts out there about Christian Darrisaw or Tevin Jenkins, and those guys are better suited in picks 20 through 32. You're at the Chargers at 13. Maybe it's best to trade down and then get your tackle without reaching. But to me, I don't think there's a position where I'm gonna kick a tire or whatever. Because I think at 13, if you could get a wide receiver or get an edge rusher, there's guys that Kwity Paye from Michigan, Aziz from Georgia. There's 2 guys from Miami, Jalen Phillips. So, if you want to fill a need with a top player, I think you might be looking at an edge rusher. But again, I don't have an issue with wide receiver either.
And the past few years, I feel like the Chargers have received really good reviews about their draft classes. But as a Chargers fan and someone who covers the Chargers, or even as someone who covers the Chargers, do you get tired of the draft hype every year? Like, is it time for results? Like,
yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying, because you look at what Tom Telesco, the general manager of the Chargers, has done the last 8 or 9 years. You see Justin Herbert, you see Joey Bosa, you see Derwin James, and guys like that for first-round picks, And you think that, he's hitting home runs with these picks. And I will give all the credit in the world to Tom Telesco for getting Justin Herbert. A year ago, people were knocking Justin Herbert like crazy. He can't make it in the NFL, and he became a star right away. But if you really kind of look deep into the resume of Tom Telesco, after the first-round picks, I'll give him credit for Keenan Allen. He got Keenan Allen in the 3rd round. Other than that, it's a lot of misses, especially in the offensive line. We just saw this past month or last month. In 2017, he drafted Dan Feeney, Sam Tevy, Forrest Lamp, 3 offensive linemen. None of them panned out, and now they were different teams.
And they were all supposed to be good values too. They were all supposed to be solid players. And
they were high picks, and you can even go back to defense. You see guys like Uchenna Nwosu from USC, 2nd round pick, 2018. Jerry Tillery, a defensive tackle, 1st round pick, 2019. And these guys haven't really panned out. There's been a lot of mixed results. I think it's still too early to tell on Kenneth Murray. I think Kenneth Murray has a high upside, but that's another first rounder that we still got to see on. But I think there's a lot of players that are kind of hit or miss, and I think for the Chargers, you really need a good impact draft class. I think sometimes you see these playoff teams that make it. Sometimes in the NFL, you go from last to first right away because of what you do in the draft. So if the Chargers get hit on a draft class that's deep with 3 or 4 guys who are studs, they're probably in the playoffs with Justin Herbert, and maybe they're making a deep run. So I think for them, it's a crucial year in the draft.
And with all that talent, you look at their social media, how they managed to hold everybody accountable about Justin Herbert, but just how they've managed to toe the line of Wendy's level petty. How do you think out of all the teams, you think they might be the best team to handle all social media for the draft that night?
Yeah, I think so. It's a hard case to make for them not to be the best social media team in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think they do a good job. And with the Chargers, especially being, the new team in Los Angeles, maybe it's not too new anymore. They're going into their 5th season in LA. But they had to, kind of get interest somewhere. They were leaving San Diego, and they were struggling to get fans. And they came to Carson, and they were, being outnumbered by the opponents. So I think the best way to kind of get attention, especially now, they're, the kids, like you guys are in that generation of social media. You guys know the importance of the attention there. So they're doing a good job there. Old people like me, and I'll tell you a story. I just got on TikTok, this month. So I'm trying to learn how to do that. And keep up with the trend. I try to avoid it for a couple of years, but I couldn't. So I saw on TikTok the Chargers are doing good things there too. So when it comes to the social media game, when it comes to marketing uniforms, they do a great job. But after a certain while, it's like, all right, now do a good job on the football field.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I've been saying that for half a decade now. And I'm not even a Charger fan. I'm a Raider fan.
If only we had their social media.
But yeah, I feel like they do a really good job of pushing the boundaries, but not going as far as
don't go
other teams.
Don't go with the Raiders level. You guys
yeah, definitely.
So there's always a time. I even say this to young reporters, when you're funny on Twitter, it does well. People love when you're funny and you go viral and you get followers on your account. But you got to know when you're crossing the line. You got to read the room. can't force things. People know when you're a phony and you're a fraud and you're trying to be fake fun. And so it goes to any type of job, social media, reporters, whatever. I get the clickbait, I get the clout, but sometimes it's better to stay quiet.
And it only takes one miss to mess up your whole Wikipedia. So got to be careful.
Exactly.
But yeah, with that, I mean, what are these days leading up to the draft like for you? And does that sort of change as the draft kind of goes on? What does that look like?
Yeah, one thing I got to say, I got to remember how to pronounce prospect names because I keep messing up names all the time. And that's one thing I'm going to do a better job at next year. It's too late for this year. I've already butchered enough names. So, I was trying to give you guys a name earlier, the pass rusher from Georgia, Aziz. I think it's Ojulari. Okay, I got it. It's not that bad.
Killed
I was
that.
trying to avoid the last
Yeah, you
name.
killed it.
And so I got it. Like last year, I worked on Tua Tagovailoa for the longest. So,
And then they win Herbert.
stuff like that. I was like, shit, like man, I
When's Miami coming?
Perfectly. But Justin Herbert is so much easier to say. But yes, I'm sure there's going to be a couple hard names in this draft, and they're going to pick that one for the Chargers. I have to memorize it. But after that, you got to kind of remember the heights too, and the weights, and the hand size, and the arm blades. It's all these silly things that people care about. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I'm not going to remember people's like arm blades. Okay, I know you need 34 size arms to be a left tackle. I know that already, but I'm not going to recite that for every prospect. But I guess I think for me, I'll say this. Like kind of the social media thing. I watch NFL. I watch one team of the NFL. I watch the Chargers, and that's the team I study. That's the team I know well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to be a draft scout, and I'm not spending my Saturdays watching every college football game, and then by the time March rolls around, I'm the draft expert. No, like it's kind of weird to me that everybody wants to be the draft expert.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna read what Daniel Jeremiah says. I'm gonna read the Kuiper, McShays, because these guys actually study, and there's a bunch of other guys out there too. But I'm not gonna pretend that I know all these guys. So I think for me, I kind of just narrow it down to position needs. Like I was telling you guys, and they need a left tackle, they need a cornerback. So I started doing my research on some of the top guys, and also you start looking deeper into the draft. Like they lost Hunter Henry, a tight end.
Yeah.
I don't think Jared Cook's going to play for forever. He's an older player, but they're going to need a tight end at one point. So I started doing some research on mid-level tight ends. Mid-round tight ends. So you kind of just got to go off the field of the team you cover.
Yeah.
But it's just always funny. You see everybody like, I'm grinding. I'm watching tape on 200 guys. I'm like, yeah, right. You don't have time for all that. So I just stick to what the Chargers need. Possible scenarios of what could happen in the first two rounds, and I kind of work from that.
Yeah, I think it's just important to not be surprised. You can only learn so much. Yep. But like you said, there's other people that's their job, and your job is just to disseminate the information and get it out to the people in the way that they can consume it.
Yeah, I got kind of tired of all these scenarios and surprises, and I'm like, who really knows what's going to happen? So instead of kind of hurting my head, I did like a top 20 draft board. One of my stories where I just, for me, my guess of what the Chargers are thinking and their needs, I did I ranked 20 players, and I just said, hey, the Chargers are picking 13th. Whoever is number one by the time the Chargers are on the clock, I say just take that guy.
Yeah.
And for me, I think after I think after J.C. Horn, it gets really complicated. I have Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, all in the top 10. But the Chargers picked 13th, and then I have guys like Elijah Vera Tucker who could be available. But again, people are worried about his arm size, and they're too short, and it's crazy to me because that guy's a stud. And you see guys like Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle and Kwity Paye and all these edge rushers, or even Micah Parsons, who I think could turn into a pass rusher because they don't really need a linebacker because of Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquill. But I started studying him, so I kind of did a top 20 draft board, and the names Micah Parsons, Elijah Vera Tucker, Kwity Paye are around that range. So it wouldn't surprise me, just my guess of how Tom Telesco thinks, that it might be one of those three guys.
Yeah, and I don't know. At the end of the day, we all do our best, but after every pick, there's a million different variables. And how many times have a team gone back 10 years and said, yeah, we knew who we were going to pick, but we changed at the last minute. So, you can't be 100% on because teams aren't.
Hey, we saw that. I don't know if you saw that video where the Vikings were thinking that the Eagles weren't going to take Justin Jefferson, so they're moving on to a cornerback.
Yep.
And the Eagles take Jalen Reagor, and oh crap, Jefferson's on the board, and they took him last second because they had no idea. So that's why I say, follow your draft board because you never know who could fall, and maybe Penei Sewell falls to the Chargers at 13, and you go and grab him. You can't just look past him because he's not going to be there. You think so? Prepare for all scenarios. I feel like, and obviously Tom Telesco is doing that, but I'm just curious to see if he trades up or trades down because I really think they're in a tough spot at 13. So maybe you see Penei Sewell kind of doing like a small fall, and he's like a 7, 8, 9 range, you trade up, man, and I think he might do that.
And with that, thank you, Gilbert. Love your expertise as always. Go ahead, shout outs to social media.
Yeah, you can find my work on Twitter, gmanzano24. You could tell me that my picks and my scouting reports were wrong. You don't want a wide receiver on this team, so go there and find me. And
just make sure you subscribe if you're going to hate on his work, okay? Just please.
It's okay.
Read it.
I'm going to keep it real with you. Like, I'm going to tell them, hey, Rashawn Slater probably won't be there at 13, but let's keep dreaming together. Fine. Yell at me if it does happen. But I'm going to keep it real, and it's probably going to be a pass rusher or even a wide receiver. But who knows? I could be wrong. That's the beauty of the draft.
All right, Gilbert. Well, thank you, man. Be safe and try to have some fun when everything gets crazy next week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time as always. Have fun.
Yeah. Peace. All right. Well, we know Eric has a slow hang-up finger over there. I'm just kidding.
I'm learning.
Can we get the applause, sir?
Indeed, of course.
When did you wake up?
Shout out to Gilbert, man. He brought great stuff. He carried us through that interview. We all know we're having an awkward show this episode. I don't know where Kenny's at. Are you good, bro? That's the quietest you've been in 4 years that I've known you.
Kenny
Not even in this show.
Today.
Clearly.
The one time I shut the fuck up, everybody wants me to talk.
But yeah,
it's moderations here. Moderations. It's the length of time that we want you to talk.
But yeah, man, shout out to Gilbert, man. Keeping us on our toes, too. He knew we were on our A game, and he still called us out. So respect to him for that.
He came hyper prepared. He was like, you know what? No, I'm going to hit him with
because he's been doing this shit all week. I don't blame him.
I've been counter punching him with training.
He's like, damn. Yeah. Y'all call me, y'all ain't even ready. Y'all playing music as soon as you hit the phone. Who is this?
I was like, all right, P. Shock G. I said it real quick. He's like, oh, that's why you're playing Humpty Dance right before you call somebody else. But I mean, yeah.
Well, what's going on with this social media with the Raiders anyway? Like, I mean, like he was saying, is when you kind of know who you're talking to in the room and everything. Like, what's up with this? And then, like, wasn't George Floyd's family like kind of saying some good things to Davis today? I mean, what really happened with all this shit?
Okay, so I'm gonna just summarize it, and then I'll let Kenny talk. So, what happened was, the Derek Chauvin verdict dropped, which everyone was expecting it to go the other way because, well, 9 times out of 10, it usually goes the other way. But this time, dude was found guilty on 3 charges, right? And I know a lot of people were like, wow. And it's sad that we were like, wow, because, well, that's justice. Like, that's what we should expect. Then at that point, all your jobs were like, oh, today's a hard-felt day, blah, blah, blah. And they all had statements prepared, talk about how they care about you, even though they won't even give you a raise or hazard pay, etc. You guys know the drill.
Especially
we don't got to go on a tangent on that.
Especially
anyways, so then lo and behold, we're on Twitter, mind our own business, and then the Raiders tweet a graphic that says, I can breathe in plain white bold text on black. No caption, no further. Oh, I'm sorry. There was the date on there too. 4/20/21. But yeah. So my initial response was like, what? Like, what? Like, why? Mm-hmm. Because the first thing you think about, or I thought about at least, was the Michael Brown shirts. The warm-ups that the NBA players wore that said, I can't breathe. Like at the start of really the player empowerment era. Really, that was like one of the first things that started. And I thought about that, and I was like, why are they saying the opposite of that? Like, why would you want to be on the other side of that? And then I thought about it, and I was like, I guess, is that like trying to honor him? Like, are they trying to acknowledge that?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, but then it's still co-opting it. So then, like I always do, I turned to my associates to tell me how to handle the situation. And so now that's what I'm going to do here.
We don't know if this is laughter or anger coming out.
That was wonderful. I got most of my anger out in that previous Instagram post. If you go on TD_tangents, where I pretty much gave you, 3 rules you should definitely abide by when you're about to do some shit that involves black people.
First one, consult a black person. Bring maybe like 3, maybe a panel. Like
I remember I asked 3 before me.
Maybe you need quorum.
This is opening up racial jokes left and right now.
You need quorum. You need
We're not racist, I promise you. We're mixed culture here.
Hi, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
The first one is read the room. Yes, I just got real serious very quickly. Read the room, please. Per our last email for over the past 500 fucking years. Please read the room. Was it really time to put out a quote unquote celebratory text? Like thinking when your significant other let you smash the night before and you swore you killed it and you wanted to hit him with the you up text. Just it's corny. It's real corny.
I'm afraid to ask questions here.
Okay, I'm fine. I'll get darker with that. So in a previous life when you were single and ready to mingle and not married or in a relationship or anything like that, and you really thought you killed it the night before.
This is like a Big Sean song right now.
And then you text the next morning with some overzealous positivity and get hit with a slice of reality and like a 2-word answer or a 17-hour response time. That kind of, miss. You don't say I can breathe about a dude who couldn't breathe for 10 minutes and was murdered. That's not in storytelling. It doesn't make. There's no symmetries to your story. It's just shit. The trial was about someone who couldn't breathe getting justice. It's been established that they're dead. They couldn't breathe. So at the end of the trial, when the person who murdered them and stopped them from breathing, those people are celebrating and putting up a sign saying, I can breathe, is really fucking stupid.
So can I pick up the story now?
I mean, I said it really slow because I'm angrily.
Well, because it keeps going, right? So then after that,
just remember that layer of what I just gave you.
So after that, pretty much the brother of before all that, as soon as the tweet dropped, within the first 15 minutes, writers were just getting dragged across social media.
Take this down.
Everyone was like, "Take this down. It's not it." And they pinned the tweet. They pinned the tweet. And people are like, why are you pinning this tweet? And then an hour goes by. It's still up. Hours go by. It's still up. And lo and behold, someone gets a hold of Mark Davis. Mark Davis first. And he was like, well, first of all, I sent the tweet. So nobody's getting fired. Second of all, I was going based off a statement that George Floyd's brother said, where he said, finally today we can breathe a sigh of relief. And then, and he was like, and so, yeah. And then in the exchange, they were like, well, are you aware that these people who are basically against all the movement and everything this organization has stand for 50 years, wear shirts and signs that say, I can't breathe. And he was like, no, I'm not aware of that, blah, blah, blah. Which, considering he eats at Hooters twice a week and drives an Astro van, I'm not that surprised. But then at the same time, it's also like too plausible of deniability, right? Anyways, next day, the brother, what's his name? Philon Floyd? Philbon Floyd?
Who the hell are you?
His brother. George Floyd's brother.
I don't remember his
Don't remember his name.
Something with the PA. I think it's like Philbon or Philon or something like that.
Flaunt.
Anyways, his brother pretty much released a statement saying, we actually thank the Raiders for their support in the movement. We're not offended by it in any way. We understand what the message was trying to be made.
Let me stop you right there. Anytime when somebody has to cop the plea for you saying, we understand the message they were trying to relay, you didn't relay the message.
Well, I didn't read the direct statement. He might have not even said trying.
But you get what I'm saying. Keep going.
I mean, it's a hard thing to say because, you know, I mean, as hard as people took it, I mean, it was in bad taste, don't get me wrong, but he didn't mean to say what people thought he was saying. I think,
and you know, ROG Terrence Biggums explained it to me, and also Kenny explained it to me, and other people talked about it, and it's like nothing was won. Like, yeah, we got what we should have got, but like that doesn't change everything else that happened. That doesn't bring back any of the other, you know, 50 to 100 people who've been slain by the police that we know about.
Millions.
And so to say you can breathe when you're not even the target, it's misleading and it's hurtful. And so I got that for sure. And I was like, okay, now I understand why it's offensive. It's even in simpler terms, it's like celebrating a first down at the 12-yard line, at your own 12-yard line. Like, you should be moving the ball. Like, the ball should.
You started on the 2.
The ball should be moving along. Like, we shouldn't be happy that it's an inch better than it was. So I understand that for sure. I also too. I mean, I don't want to say that I didn't know that like people used "I can breathe" like in a negative way, but like I didn't know it was like as big as it is. Like as far as like the shirts and the t-shirts. So I don't know, man. I think for me, at least, and I'll just say this, and then let Kenny finish up. But like for me, after all of it, you know, more than 24 hours later, I'll just say I felt like just it brought out the nastiness, like just on every angle. Because even now that I understand like why it was so offensive, like fully, like even more than just the initial shock of like the lack of context, like it's also like, damn, like people were really like just ready to jump on anyone, and the dumbass Raiders were dumb enough to like just insert themselves in the conversation when they didn't even have to say shit. And that's the other side of it too, is like, well, then you just expect everybody to say something, but it's like, it's just noise. They don't really care. Like, do we really need another statement saying the same bullshit and nothing changes? Then you can't say anything, and then you, I don't know. It just shows a lot of flaws on everybody. Like we both live in a racist society that also pretends to be colorblind, and on top of that, we also can't talk to each other or like do anything productive because we're all just like looking for reasons to be mad. And it's like, fuck. So that was my Wednesday. Now, Kenny, you take us through the rest of how you saw things and how you feel about it now, moving forward.
See, the thing about moving forward, you need oxygen to do that. And George Floyd didn't have that when he was being choked to death. So, again, I hate to direct this at this group because, again, everybody knows I don't hate certain groups of people. That's just based off race.
More like sections of town.
Fuck whole city blocks. And they're in the inheritors of that land. But no, man, I can hear the bag opening. I can hear the bag opening.
Well, just open it. It's open now.
See? Jesus. It's like unwrapping a gift. Just tear it open. But no. Speaking of
hard
things,
being a drunk.
Speaking of things being torn open, wounds.
Wow.
Old, painful, racism caused, induced, salt in the wounds, murderous pain that was brought up when you say something so uncouth, out of line, and really fucking stupid. It would be like yelling fire in a room full of pregnant women going into labor.
Jesus Christ, dude, you're dark.
These are actually pretty good.
Out of context, that's hella racist. In context, that is a funny ass soundbite. This in the beginning of the show, we can just start with that.
I promise we're not racist.
That might
Some
be
of us.
the name of the show.
I guess I just want to know, like...
No, I'm going deeper into the wormhole. Racism is a wormhole.
And we still haven't even got to the Lakers Twitter wormhole.
Fam, the FBI might be watching this. We have to watch what we say.
They're listeners.
What else are they doing? You know how many government jobs got laid off? Now you're all at home, in your apartment or whatever, wearing those old busted ass Crocs that before the pandemic you decided, I'll rock out with these. And now look at you with trash Crocs. Your feet probably hurt. Your wooden floor is probably mad squeaky and oily in the middle. So you can't really wear socks, but you can't wear no socks. That kind of house. Your house is probably really shitty and dirty.
I feel like that's like similar to when you like wear your socks with thong sandals with socks, and you have like the Ninja Turtle going on.
Yeah, that's a must.
I love you, but I hate people who say thong sandals.
That's a must. That's a must pocket. It's disgusting.
Flip flops.
Thank you.
Floppies.
It's a whale tail on your,
The whale tail.
on your toes.
That's nasty.
I feel dirty.
My toes gonna get pink eye.
My inner child felt like it just got touched. That's wrong. That's worse than the popcorn mayonnaise salad.
All right, where were we? Because I lost.
I didn't lose the point. Nope, because I'm black and I can't escape racism, so I never get to lose the point. But
the point is, he's a black man in America.
No. Okay, so them doing that is like a form of trauma bonding that's just not helpful at all. It's like I get shot, I'm not screaming, and you're having a fucking panic attack over there. Like you're needing medical attention, you're passing out, You're the focal. You just made yourself the focal point.
Yeah.
You just threw yourself in front of a fucking nuke that was going to kill us both either way.
That's a good way to put it.
Like, you're the John Walker of, like, I'm going to take one for the team. You're that guy. Yeah. You didn't take one for the team. You took one for the team. You caught a body. And it's just really highly, like, you could take black people out of that, and that would be akin to making a dirty pun about kids in cages and being free. Let it fly, quoting Maya Angelou. Like, that would be some weird shit. Like, it would be, like, you tried to be helpful. You thought you were being ambiguous in this situation, but you just look bluntly stupid. Because when you read that statement back and you think about Eric Gardner and all the people who were choked out, shot to death, stabbed. Oh, yeah, and by the way, when that verdict came down, I forget what town was it. Was it Indiana? A 15-year-old black girl who was getting jumped by some girls at her house called the police for the police to come break up the fight because knives were pulled on her, and the cops show up and kill the girl. She called the cops to get them to come help her because she was getting jumped on. There were knives involved, and they show up to her house and blow her away. She was 15. I think it's Michaela Bryant. I think that's her name. And this was around the exact same time the verdict came down that he was guilty on all 3 charges. Black people had, I don't want to say it's not like a sociopathic response to how that played out, but let's just say we weren't very moved. It's like, okay, so the score is 287 million to 317 now.
I had this moment, and I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's kind of like what it makes me feel like. Like when we watch these historical documentaries or remakes or whatever, and you don't watch them to the end, like for instance, Judas and the Messiah. It's like, oh, okay, you thought you knew what that movie was about. You thought you knew what the experience was. But if you didn't watch that last minute, nothing else matters because everything was building up to that last minute. And if you don't know how the story ends, then you can't just assume you do because you saw a little chunk of it. And, like, to just bring it full circle, it just feels like even me, like somebody who's, you know, really close to it, to black people, to black culture, like, you know, even I have my own blind spots, and I've known that, but I think it's just another one of these times where it's like, no, like, you still have blind spots. Like, you're always going to have blind spots because you're never going to really know unless you're, well, shit. It doesn't matter how much. It only takes 1/64th. Less. Black is black.
Yeah, but the main issue is just like, if I know something horrible happened to you and I try to flip it into something I think is positive that should help you, I'm really only feeding my ego. And that's all that was like. I felt like an ego play. Because you could have just said nothing and it would have been fine. You could have retweeted other people, supported other people, put up a black fist emoji, and just left it at that. You could have shown pictures of all the HBCU players that you drafted.
And I guess
you could have done anything other than that. Like, not everybody has to be the leader. Not everybody has to speak.
And I think that's what we have to learn, like, in this new era of, like, you know, hey, you can't just not be racist. You have to be anti-racist. It's like, you know, there are other ways to be anti-racist than talking, than speaking. You know, you do that with the things that you do and the things that you say. Like, and the things that you don't say as well. So, I think people just have to learn, like, hey, yeah, you shouldn't be silent, but that doesn't mean you get to talk. You got to find other ways to communicate and relate to people and get your message out. Shoot, man, even maybe even give it a fucking day. Maybe we would have got your message like maybe 3 days later and maybe a little bit more thought into your graphic. Some context, like, hey, maybe put it in quotes. Like, I don't know, maybe quote him verbatim. Like, maybe just throw his picture up there. I don't know.
Put a focus group up there and get all the former Black Raider players that you know and say, hey, should I say,
or just let them talk about it? Let them talk about it.
Ask Charles Woodson. Hey, Seawood. So we were gonna say, we can breathe. Yeah, we can breathe. George Floyd can't. What's your point? See that?
But the other thing is,
exchange would have been like, oh shit. That's the whole.
But the other
idea.
thing is, though, we also can't assume that they would have got it either, because you know we've already talked about the generation gap in this show.
They would have found a way. They'd find a way to fuck it up. They'd find a way to fuck it up. But verbally, you can't take back. You can take everything back, but a verbal fuck up, because you said it. If you like post a picture and it's misleading and you don't understand the context behind it, you can be corrected and it can be solved. But once you open your mouth and make it known that you're a fucking fool, then guess what? Now we all know you're a fucking fool.
It's basically just that person who like is not really paying attention and is on their phone and fucking around on their laptop, but like raises their hand to answer the question first. And you're like, bruh, like, I wasn't paying attention, but I still know that you weren't paying attention. Because when I was paying attention, you weren't paying attention. And for sure, when I wasn't paying attention, you definitely weren't paying attention. But yeah, you're still talking, bro? Like, you just trying to make yourself look dumber than me? Like, because that's all you're doing.
And you read the first number on the page that you started paying attention to, so you're just going to raise your hand and say 37. We're on page 28. Doing problem number 14.
We went back?
Yeah, we literally, like,
we did chapter 3 before chapter 2. We're not in chapter 4.
Don't do
we went back to chapter 2.
Don't do the extra end of the practice questions yet. You haven't even done chapter 2 or 3 yet. We're on 1.9 actually. What are you doing? Bottom line is, it's like the one person at a wedding you wouldn't want to speak up on your behalf. Like, they would be like, I love Donnie, he's wonderful, even though he was fucking pigeon when he was 7. He's a wonderful father and provider to the kids. Like, what? Like, that's not even true. Like, you're not even like my first uncle, bro. Like, you're my second uncle twice removed. Who invited you, by the way? How'd you get here? It's that person. Like, it's the one person in the car who's not drunk, and they're like, anybody been drinking tonight? And you just yell out, wasn't me. Now everybody just looks at you like, what the fuck was that for? You could have just said nothing. You would have made it through clean, but you had to do something, and now it's ruined, and you fucked it up. And yeah, we'll even say that you weren't being subtly racist, because guess what? People were wearing We Can Breathe shirts with Eric Garner's dead body on the cover. His daughter, who I think died, heart conditions, all types of horrible shit. You know, that family was done wrong, and I'm pretty sure when they hear the phrases "we can breathe," they kind of clutch at their pearls a little bit and think about the fact that their family member can't breathe. And just because the officer gets fired, unless he gets sentenced, proven guilty, and given the appropriate time, because the way the numbers fudge out, this guy could do anywhere between, I think, 12 and 40 years. Chauvin. So this sets a precedent for whatever he gets, whatever the other 3 officers get. Because there's a dude in California, I think a couple weeks ago, it just was found out that he was robbing a bunch of major drug dealers, having his friends roll up to crime scenes, impersonating being police officers, money laundering, doing all types of illegal shit. He got like $7 million. He made like $7 million at least. And they finally called him and they're indicting him. And he's only getting 7 years. He getting 7 years for robbing, killing, doing things that a regular person, if they did those things, they would get life in jail. Because this white cop abused the rules, he skates free. Bottom line is, when it comes down to what the dumbass thing the Raiders said, is that it's just racially tone deaf. Like, I could give you 1,000 examples that don't make any fucking sense right now. But if you just really sit back and think about it, if you think about the inverse of a statement, that would solve a lot of problems. If a lot of people thought about, what's the inverse of what I'm about to say? How could somebody else possibly take this with the energy that I'm doling out? Do I sound like a suburban soccer mom? Do I sound like I give everybody on the team snacks, but the colored kids kind of get less and more raisins? I mean...
More raisins?
Yeah. Raisins in the Sun. It's a book.
I mean, I know raisins, but like, why raisins specifically?
Raisin in the Sun. It's a book.
What about you guys? Any other thoughts on just overall the
You've never
verdict?
heard of that book? A Raisin in the Sun?
Either of you?
I've heard of it.
No, I was just saying the verdict.
The verdict.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
just to close it out.
just. I mean, I watched a lot of it on the news, to be honest, because I'm off during the day, and I mean, just they made a compelling case that there couldn't be a no verdict on there. I mean, there couldn't have been a hung jury. I mean, if there was a hung jury, then I think the country definitely would have burned down. But it's like, this was the right thing to do. This was, people are trying to say like right wing media and stuff and whatever you want to call it right nowadays, but like they're just saying like how this was a reach or whatever. This was far less than a reach. This is, I mean, what you already see like reports about the audit from the Department of Justice with this, they're trying to basically cover it up, but nowadays it's blatant. It's not just in the people's face that are seeing it there. It's in this hit the world. I mean, my wife's an English Premier League fan in Europe, and they start their games all in a moment in silence for Black Lives Matter. And it's kind of funny because right now they're in European tournaments. They go to other countries that are pretty racist. Her team actually won, thank God. But this racism is not just a local problem. It's not just a country problem. It's still a global problem. And I think this was just a starting point of things that can be noticed. And right now, that had been there. It's just, I don't think it would just been that state, city, our country. I think the whole world would probably have gotten on fire if there was a hung jury on that.
Yeah, it's because we're so desensitized to not really getting any justice. It's kind of like,
Where's Skype?
I'm gonna have to wait until see this is. I'm gonna have to wait to see this is all over. Like, what's the verdict? How many years does he get? Are they going to put him in general pop? Because that deserves some kind of real justice. So, again, this is one person, and then a 16-year-old girl was murdered right after, like 3 hours after. So, yeah. But anyway, on to a different topic.
Back to some draft talk.
Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, guys. What's up? It's Ryan from the LA Football Network.
Hey, Ryan. What's up? How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. Thank you for coming on short notice. So, first question for you. Just to start on a lighter note, what's the worst draft take or prediction you've received from a Rams fan or seen across Rams, blogs or rumors, etc.?
Oh man, that's a good question. Well, for the Rams specifically, it's hard since they're on a first-round pick. I've seen some, in my opinion, Todd McShay's latest mock draft where he had Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater going 12 and 13, so both falling out of the top 10. I think that's a pretty crazy hot take. I don't see that happening.
Facts.
As far as the Rams, I think I just see a lot of mock drafts come my way because people send them to us for the show, and I don't know if they take over the mock simulator and they do every pick, but they'll have guys that are going to go in like the second round. They have the Rams taking one like the fifth round. So just stuff like that. It's like, that would be great, but I don't think that has any chance of happening. So I think just things like that are usually the norm, I guess, this time of year.
Yeah, and the other norm, it seems like, is the Rams not having the first round pick. So do you think at any point, maybe this year or even beyond, do you think their strategy of being aggressive with first round picks ever catches up to them?
I mean, it hasn't yet. So it's been we're going on year 7 now without a first rounder, and they've made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years, made the Super Bowl in that run. It depends kind of your outlook on it. I would say if you asked me 3 years ago, I would say yeah, absolutely, because I think I valued first round picks a lot more. I think knowing what I know now, and especially with covering the Rams, I think they're kind of onto something. And, they go after guys that have proven it on the field already when the first round is really a crapshoot. I mean, every year we see 32 guys taken. 10 of those guys pan out. You have 22 that either aren't in the league 5 years later, or they're very subpar players. So I think they're kind of onto something that the rest of the league just hasn't caught up yet. And, I know fans go crazy about it, but I think they're showing that, hey, let's get guys that we've seen produce, as opposed to, especially because they're always drafting the 20s anyway because they make the playoffs. It's like a guy that we're going to get at 25, that, or we give away picks and get Jalen Ramsey. To me, that's kind of a no-brainer. Now seeing it, obviously, hindsight.
Yeah, and the Rams, they get a lot of credit for innovating, like you said, the first round pick, trading away trend, and also even before the preseason stuff, McVay's one of the golden boys in the league. So is this draft important for McVay? Is he on the hot seat, or does he still have, some runway, and you think it's more on the GM?
Yeah, I don't think either are on the hot seat. I think this draft is definitely important for them because of this strategy they've gone for, and especially this year going all in on Matt Stafford. If it doesn't pan out and it flops, then they could go from a playoff team 3 of the last 4 years, and then because they don't have these first round picks, if it were to fail miserably, they don't have the allocation to rebuild. So that's the only way I think where it catches up with them was if these moves fail and they have a poor draft this year with the 6 picks they do have, because you can still find plenty of value in these later rounds. And we saw it last year with Jordan Fuller being a 6th round pick, and he was playing at a Pro Bowl level before he got really hurt. So plenty of value. They can still find great gems there. But if they don't hit on this and this plan with Matt Stafford doesn't pan out, then maybe 2 years from now you'll see both, I think, McVay and Snead on the hot seat. But right now, I think that's more fan speak that they just because of the whole how things went down with Jared Goff and whatnot. But I think they have quite a long runway, and I don't know how many people know this, but Sean McVay, he runs the show in LA. When they need approval from Stan Kroenke, the owner, Sean McVay is the one that actually calls him, not Les Snead. So he runs the show here. And I think he has quite a long runway still to make things happen.
And with that, another fun question. So, are you more of a Malibu mansion guy, or are you a pool in Arizona mansion kind of guy?
Oh man, I would take any mansion. Tiny ass apartment. But if I'm choosing between those, I got to go Malibu mansion, man. Got to go see in the ocean.
100%.
What about you?
I'm right with you, 100%. If I can get a taste of that 0.01% life for free, why not?
Right? it's funny. I was on a show earlier this morning, and they asked me not that same question, but they brought up the Malibu thing, and they were saying, like, yeah, it's interesting because it's just showing like the top 1% lifestyle. Like, that's not really LA, but I'm like, but that's what everyone dreams to be in LA. So yeah, they got to show it up. They got to make everyone envious if that's what they get to do. Whereas everyone in the draft is at Cleveland, and we're over here in Malibu, 9,000 square foot mansion, look at the ocean, envious.
Yeah, shoot, I'll take Culver City and traffic over Cleveland.
Right.
I'm sorry. No offense.
Yeah, right. Cleveland is up and coming. I'll give him credit that my cousin lives there and he loves it. So I think 10 years ago, I think almost anywhere in the country would be better, but I think now it's up and coming. But yes, I would still take anywhere in LA over it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think a lot of the Midwest is, which is good,
Yeah, for sure.
And for like the battle of social media teams, because the Rams, I feel like, had a head start. Obviously, coming to LA and all that, being rooted, Super Bowl, all that. But with the Chargers, their social media team has arguably been. They've been up there with the Baltimore Ravens. Like they could win MVP as far as social media teams go. Who do you think?
Oh yeah.
Who do you think is going to create more buzz come this draft? The Chargers or the Rams?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think the Rams do a good job on social media, but the Chargers, in my opinion, are the best in the business. Like they're knocking out of the park with what they do with social media, with their marketing team in general. Like I don't know if you guys remember when Herbert won Rookie of the Year and they had that like lightning bolt emoji guy was on the Santa Monica Pier and all this. So they're killing it right now with marketing and really growing their brand. And the Rams are still doing good, but it's just like the Chargers are doing so great. It's crazy, which the Chargers never have done that before. It hasn't been their MO, so they're catching up with the LA market. But as far as this draft
now we see why franchise quarterbacks are so important.
Exactly. That's why I was, before the draft last year, I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I was pounding the table to not sign one of these vet quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Cam Newton, one of those guys. It was going to be a Band-Aid. They needed to get a young buck that was going to be their franchise guy for 10 to 15 years, and they found that.
Yep.
But, to your question for this draft, looking at it right now, I think you would say the Chargers just because they have a first-round pick. They're picking 13. There's so much speculation if they're going to go tackle, if they're going to trade up now. There's some reports that they're looking at maybe trading up to 7. There's also, if they don't, if they go corner, there's just a lot of stuff like that, whereas, the Rams obviously aren't picking until pick 57, so there's not as much hype around that. Obviously, that can change though after the draft, a few days down the line when we start grading and seeing how they go, and if the Rams really knock on the park or if they make some trades. Obviously, we see what happens in their Malibu mansion. So, right now, just to answer your question, I think the Chargers will draw more buzz just because having that first-round pick around the draft, which is now just an event, a spectacle, and that's what we want to see. But just, it's hard to say until a few days after to see how the team really did because Telesco is another guy. The Chargers need to knock this out of the park if Telesco wants to keep his job. I think of all the guys, obviously Brandon Staley's brand new hire, so he's totally fine. McVay, Smith, and Telesco has the hottest seat for sure out of all of them. So this draft needs to do really well.
Yeah, and we talked to Chargers at the top of the show, but I'll just, for you, since you covered both, like, at least for the last handful of years, the Chargers have gotten really good value picks and have received great reviews. Like, are you tired of that? Like, is a good draft enough for you anymore?
Well, the drafts I feel like they get graded good, but then those players either don't pan out, or they're always injured, or like we don't see it on the field.
Yeah,
they draft it on paper. Whereas I feel like the Rams have been the opposite, but they don't really draft good. Remember last year when they took Cam Akers and Van Jefferson as the first 2 picks, and everyone up in arms. It's like they need centers, they need they need linebackers, all this, so they got graded bad. But then, boom, as they show it on the field, the Rams end up having the number 1 defense. They make the playoff game, and the Chargers, they end up winning 7 games. But they were 3-9 at one point, and so. Yeah, to your question, of course, everyone should be tired of it because, drafts aren't won in the draft room. They're not won on paper. They're won on the field. They need to find guys. I think this new coaching stuff, like I was huge on the Brandon Staley hire. I thought it was the perfect hire for them. And I think he'll have a lot more say than Anthony Lynn did. Nothing against Anthony Lynn. I just think that's the personality of Brandon Staley. And so I think we'll see them draft a little differently this year than they have in years past, which I think will bode well for him.
Yeah, and I think it's also, a different time because Lynn was really trying to get them over the hump. He couldn't, but now they're really in a position to where it's like he gets more say in the future because they have more openness, I guess.
Well, I think too with Lennon, he was just such an old school guy. I still think Andy Lynn is a very good coach. I mean, he's loved by his players. Players played hard for him, but he was just very old school. Stuck to his guns. He stood by his guys to a fault, which is why he getting fired. I mean, he should have fired Gus Bradley after week 4, kept him the whole season. Should have fired his special teams coach 2 years ago, kept him around. He should have. There's guys playing that were veteran playing, and he should have taken them out and put in rookies or whatnot. But he was just very old school, set in his ways. Whereas Brandon Staley is like the opposite. He's just like, last year with the Rams, it was going to be John Johnson and Taylor Rapp, who were starting safeties. They draft Jordan Full in the sixth round. He doesn't care where the guy's drafted, what age he is, what his payroll is. Best guy plays. Jordan Fuller shows out in day one and ends up being, a great safety for the team. So I think that'll help the Chargers as well, and that's why he'll have more say, just because he's bringing in an entire new philosophy to what the Chargers are going to do, and it's just going to look very different. And it's going to look basically Rams 1A and Rams 1B now is what we'll see.
All right, and then last thing on the Rams, just to bring it full circle, what is the thing that they have to get without having a first round pick?
Like player,
like position player. It could be both, but mainly position need.
Yeah, no, that's a good question because their biggest needs are center and linebacker. That's definitely with Austin Blythe going to the Chiefs, and so they're rolling with is it going to be Brian Allen, who's been injury prone, drafted 2 years ago? Are they going to slide Austin Corbett back over to center? Are they going to have Coleman Shelton, maybe, who's a guy that is unproven? So that's their biggest need. Linebacker has been a need, I feel like, for years, and they never really addressed it, but they play so heavy nickel and dime that they kind of get away with it. So those are their biggest needs, and that's why, a lot of, people have slated, them taking a center in the second round and, linebacker at APTA. I really like Chaz Surratt, linebacker out of North Carolina. He's a guy I like. Obviously, Quinn Byners is a center that everyone's kind of, loving. I love Drew Dahlman out of Stanford, who they can probably get later in the draft. But I think he fits really well, and obviously he played for Coach Colbert, who's now Carberry, who's now the Rams O-line coach. There's a good fit there. So those are the guys that, to answer your question, that those positions should be addressed. But the way the Rams are built, luckily, that if they don't, it's not like all of a sudden, the world is going to end. The sky
they develop talent.
Address these needs. Yeah, they have guys. They have depth at all these positions. Because last year we said the same thing.
Exactly.
We needed a center. They didn't take a center. Austin Blythe is having a very good year. No fans last year felt good with Austin Blythe starting at center. He had a good year. They needed a linebacker. They took Clay Johnson in the 7th round. Didn't even make the roster. They had the number 1 defense in the NFL. So these needs are us analysts and draft guys that we say that, but they know what they're doing. They know what they feel comfortable with. So if they don't do that, and why I think they will actually take a skill position player first, I think they're going to go with a guy like that to add firepower to McVay's offense, which many people are against, but I just think that's what they're going to do. So yeah, center and linebacker is what they need. If they don't do it, though, I don't think it's the end of the world. So I guess to answer your question, there's really, in my opinion, nothing they have to do to get out of this draft and be successful. But those are the ones that, us guys sitting on the couch think they need to do.
All right, Ryan. Well, thank you so much again for hopping on. It's always good to hear from you. Why don't you go ahead and let people know where they can find you and what you got coming up leading up to the draft?
Yeah, fellas. Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. Keep up the good work. But yeah, you can find websites, lafbnetwork.com, cover the Rams, Chargers, Trojans, and Bruins, all that on social media, LAFB Network. YouTube channel as well. The podcast is the LA Football Podcast. It's all pretty unison, pretty easy to find. And myself, you can just find me at Ryan Dyrud.
Whoa. Sorry. What happened?
Where'd that come from?
Go Safari.
Allow me to amaze thee. They say I'm ugly, but it just don't faze me. I'm still getting in the and I even got my own dance. The Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump.
Wait.
Come on. I do the Humpty Hump. Come on, I do the Humpty Hump. Check me out, y'all. I do the Humpty Hump. Just watch me do the Humpty Hump.
What did you do, Eric?
Eric, it's a tab.
I do the Humpty Hump. I do the Humpty
We go back to Safari.
You're really funny looking. That's alright.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
You constantly try to compare me, but you can't get
This is
near me.
hilarious.
I'm giving more C, and on the floor B, all the girls
This is
say
the
adore me.
weirdest
Oh yes, ladies. I'm really
episode.
being sincere, 'cause in this-
It's confusing.
My nose will tickle you. My nose is big.
Oh my God! Close it!
Close it. Close it. We're not doing a YouTube video ever again. Never again. We are never doing a YouTube video. Oh my God.
You gotta
Ryan, we are really sorry about that. We did not try to run you, okay?
Bad
My
call.
bad. Yo.
We're just gonna start doing the thing where you run people.
This is
just
Eric's
Humpty
first time
dance.
running the board, so
On the computer.
Let's give him a break.
That's what I'm supposed to do.
Kenny's
What?
dead. Like, I'm so sorry. That's the second most embarrassing moment besides Taylor Rooks right there.
Oh my God. Well, let's proceed
See
on.
what happens when you don't come to play? See
Why
what
did, why
happens?
did you have to rip that Band-Aid off?
What happened?
Why did you have to keep saying Taylor Rooks?
Oh my
It
God.
hurts, bro.
Oh my God.
My mom
Anyways,
put a Facebook
man.
post last week about it.
Anyways, thank you to Ryan from LAFB. Check out his draft show next week. Relax.
Now
20
you're
more
sure-
sounds.
now
It's
you're-
not going to take away from.
You're listening to Trigger Happy now.
Let's just chill.
You're past Rule 22. You've already double tapped it. Now you're just unloading the clip.
now you have to run the computer every time you come. Nah, this is your job now. Like,
Oh, God.
you gotta redeem yourself, man. What happened?
This is like going 0 for 0 for 0.
Did somebody just hit the space bar?
Yeah,
Tony
I
Snell
hit
did.
something on the keyboard.
You Tony Snelled it. 34 minutes, 0.0
Oh
rebounds, 0
my
assists.
God, dude. And I was just gonna say we should do a tailgate together. Hey Ryan, if you hear this, let's do a tailgate together. I'm sorry. We'll let you get the first billing. We'll warm up for you, okay? We'll go before you, okay?
We'll-
Your name can be bigger on the flyer, all right? I'm sorry.
We'll play the song and then do a funny story about how it feels like it's still playing.
Oh my God, man.
That was rich. That was Life is Funny. That was hilarious. And it wasn't me that fucked up.
My bad.
I've been quiet. Oh, but I mean, speaking of coaches, well, a coach that's actually established and won a Super Bowl, Mike Tomlin got a 3-year contract extension.
Yeah, big. I mean, the Steelers are known for really keeping their coaches for a long time. I mean, I think Tomlin's a great coach too. He just hasn't had much luck lately. But
Yeah, there's like a whole decade where you could point to, like, yeah, a dynasty was going on here, or this team was really like the hottest team in the league, and the Steelers could have made about 2 or 3 more Super Bowls if some things go their favor.
if Tom Brady wasn't in the same division or the same
Tom
conference,
Brady had retired a career ago. The Steelers would have probably had about 4 Super
I mean, if Tom Brady retired, say like 5 years ago, do you think some of these quarterbacks, like, I don't know, okay, if it weren't for Tom Brady, do you think Phillip Rivers would ever have a Super Bowl?
The Chargers ran through everybody that year. When they got to the Patriots and they had him at home, they mentally couldn't get over the hump.
Bro, I was just thinking, like, damn, for everything that happened today, like, we were having a really good show. Like, we were pulling it together with Kenny's half a leg. Like,
Comatose.
good Lord.
But
All right. So are we on Taker Tangent? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was apologizing in DMs.
My bad.
Speaking
man.
of college football, fuck them kids. I'm just playing.
Nothing going on in college.
No,
Not much going on.
more just people transferring. Put the can down, sir.
It matches your shirt.
So does my Crocs. So I came dressed for the occasion today.
You came from a Grateful Dead concert, is what you look like, man.
I look like I've been dropping acid to DMT fucking YouTube mixes from 12 years ago. Like, I'm just listening to nothing but techno and house.
Some drum and bass.
Yes, and I'm on way too much acid. That's what it sounds like.
Are you having some Coachella withdrawals right now?
I can't have a Coachella.
I definitely am.
Yeah.
I 100% am. And especially, it doesn't help that people are posting videos about it.
Yeah.
Rolling Loud hurts the most because I'm really down to go to Florida, but it's Florida.
I do want to go to Rolling Loud. I want to go to Ultra too. Just to say I went.
And I definitely want to just go to Vegas and do some shit, but at the right moment.
Is Vegas open?
Vegas.
I think it's open adjacent. I mean,
I was
went
there
in
a few.
February.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
but it was like starting to open.
yeah. It's like
So,
they
I don't
letting
know
people
now.
inside.
Yeah.
You can come inside, just don't stay very long.
But
All right, college football, Kenny.
That was college
no, that
football.
was-
Oh
Did
my
you-
God!
did you not
All
see
right.
college
I
football?
like,
I said,
drunk
fuck them
Kenny.
kids. You didn't
I
hear me
like
say
drunk
that?
Kenny.
Oh,
I like drunk
let's
Kenny.
try this sound effect one more time.
I'm not drunk, bro.
I don't know what you are, bro.
I'm high on the libations of life.
Well, speaking of social media, Brett Favre saying things that are
What'd he
maybe not
say?
appropriate. So Brett Favre basically said that, according to TMZ, that Brett Favre believed Derek
wait,
Chauvin.
hold up. Podcast.
Hold up.
On this
hold up,
podcast.
Hold up. Take your tangent on this rundown.
No, have you
This is
barely
the
opened up the
worst.
touchdown? Have you barely opened the rundown?
Is this the worst rundown ever?
The rundown is awful. I'm making this shit up on the fly right now.
This is the worst rundown ever.
I was like, and he said this like an hour earlier too. I was just like,
I wrote it like it was the
Bro,
diary.
you
and
could have just said you forgot. This is why you could have just said you forgot.
there's usually more effort like 5 minutes to 8, and then this is like at 6 o'clock.
I really sent it early as hell too. I sent it mad fucking early. I looked at it and I wrote it from the perspective. It was like the diary of an angry black man. Like,
Hey, we
that's
might
how I
get
wrote it.
canceled before the draft, man. There might not be a draft episode next week.
I was like, this was the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
So anything
Brett
happens,
Favre said some stupid
anything
shit.
happens to us, just listen to LFB.com, okay?
Touchdownpotentials.com.
I'm giving out free promo to make up for that mishap.
My bad.
Shout out to Gilbert too.
Yeah, we played the music when he was on too. What the fuck? And that song, of all the songs we choose, that's like the first time you've ever chosen like a semi-mainstream happy feel-good song. Like,
And some 80s hip hop.
usually you pull some fucking 80s or some 90s fucking boom boom blap shit, bro. Like,
Boom boom black.
There was
That's not a
Sister
black
Acts at
album.
one
you
time.
some MERS and shit, bro. Like,
Sister
nobody
Act.
trying to walk into MERS, bro. Stop.
Did you say
We're not
MERS?
boxers.
Did you
We're
say
not
MERS?
boxers, dog. We're not boxers.
He said MERS. I'm cooked. Dog, take the fork out of me. I'm cooked. He said MERS. You could have said Brother Ali. Oh my God.
Action Bronson.
No.
Action.
He stole Ghostface's whole fucking Ghostface's whole fucking flow.
Really?
Go listen to Ghostface. Listen to Raekwon.
I guess.
Then go listen. Close your eyes.
I
Pretend he's not a
guess.
fat white dude. He sounds exactly like him.
Yeah, I guess.
It's scary. It's uncanny.
I
The
guess.
closer you get to it, the more fucked up it gets.
I don't really like Wu-Tang, so.
Wait,
Ooh, dang.
I'm sober now. What the fuck did you just say?
I just wake you up.
Do we need to fight? Do we need to go outside and fight?
You're not sober. You want to fight
I don't
now.
like Wu-Tang.
It's like tequila.
You don't like Wu-Tang? You don't like Wu-Tang for the kids? What the fuck is wrong with you? Who the fuck you think you are?
Wow.
How do you just get
What was that game that Wu-Tang was in?
Game?
On PlayStation.
Oh, you mean the one where all the rappers got cheated and screwed out on royalties?
Not
Like a Mortal Kombat
not
kind of
V
thing?
for Vendetta, but that game was
Rest in-
hard.
rest in peace,
You
Black
can't say
Rob.
that game wasn't hard, bro.
That shit was hard.
Yeah, shut your ass up. You was having fun on that exploitation, huh? You was having fun off that, huh? Renting it at Blockbuster. And you was giving Blockbuster
Hollywood
money. You was giving
Videos.
everyone.
Blockbuster.
You was giving everyone money but the artists.
Hollywood videos, and Shout out to the one RIP. It used to be on Hawthorne and El Segundo, but now it's a fucking credit union. Shout out
Wu-Tang Shaolin style.
Shaolin style.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm about to fucking kick you in the throat.
I didn't even like that game.
Yeah, Shaolin style.
Shaolin.
I had it.
Shaolin. I have to kick both of you after the show. Shaolin.
Hey, I'm
Shaolin.
actually a fan of.
You didn't say it right. You were there. You didn't say it right.
Shaolin.
You were there in the 90s. You didn't say it right.
What? I didn't say it right. No, I'm from New Mexico, man. I just heard on that shit like 5 years later.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just hit everywhere like a tidal wave.
Dude, New Mexico's like 5 years behind everybody.
But like, it came from
like
New York.
still, there's
No,
people.
they
There's
really
probably
are.
still on AOL.
Yeah, they
and
really
fucking,
are. Remember when Drew was there? He was like, "Yeah, bro, there's people here with no internet.
yeah.
Like legit. Like they live life with no internet. Like they don't even think they're missing anything."
There's no influencers in Albuquerque.
Somebody
I
write
don't
that
know.
shit
There might
down.
be-
Somebody write that shit
There might
down.
be there might be someone
My
doing
God,
a meth
somebody
hall.
please write that shit down.
I went to my Mendy's. I went to Dollar General. This is what I got.
This is South
Throwing
Valley.
shit off fast.
South Valley, eh? Chalet, bro.
I feel bad for people who work at Dollar Generals or any store. It's $1 because they make you do every fucking thing in the store.
Is anything really $1 anymore? It's not like $2.99.
Yeah,
anymore?
Dollar General is not $1.
Like everything's like $3.99
Or Family
now.
Dollar.
Remember the 98-cent store?
R.I.P.
That shit was fly, bro. That was an era. If you don't know the
I think I found some.
All right, so
Crossfire
we still
before.
haven't even talked about Brett Favre. What the fuck did Brett Favre say?
Well, Brett
I was
Favre
trying to get as
basically.
far away from my anger because I don't want to have a fucking.
All right.
I want my eye to
Brett
explode.
Favre went on record basically saying he didn't believe that Chauvin didn't mean to kill George Floyd and went too far. It's just like
From Mississippi, played in Atlanta, and played in Wisconsin.
Deep South.
I'm just gonna leave that there.
yeah.
Like, what else? What college did he go to? I forgot.
Southern Mississippi.
There you go. So Mississippi, even school to even add to that.
Yeah, it's just
Where's
Brett Favre is just the epitome of a good old boy. You know, I mean, he's
Who
not.
doesn't think he's a good old boy?
No, I mean, he was one of the originators of sending the dick pics a couple years ago when he played for the Jets.
Damn.
You know, I mean,
Damn.
Like,
why would you listen?
Damn, Eric coming in hot. He got a take today.
Coming in. See, you can play hot anywhere, bro.
But you know, like Brett Favre, like it just don't look at him like a hero. I mean, he's a good football player, but not necessarily a good person.
Bro,
Fuck
you
Bret
got
Hart and everyone
the
who
first
loves
time
him.
we go to Atlanta, shout out to X Squad. If your shit ain't a Zaydoven, Organized Noise, or Future, or Outkast, that's it. Those are your only options. We're not coming into Gunna. We ain't coming into a Young Thug song. I'm just letting you know. We ain't coming into hot, bro. Don't look at me like, come on, bro. When we at the X Squad cookout, don't be like, come on, bro. We got to come out to hot. No, we ain't coming out to hot,
I'm picking
bro.
Outkast.
We are not coming out to
I'm
hot.
picking So Fresh, So Clean.
You ain't playing hot the whole time we're in Atlanta, bro.
I'm playing that
And
shit.
if it
Before I
comes
go to
on in the
sleep.
strip club, I'll buy you a dance, bro. He's like, nigga, I'm gonna hold you to this.
somebody
He's
you
like, I'm gonna
know.
hold you to this, bro.
You're gonna be like somebody you know. I'm gonna come back and be like, hey, so they need like $1,000 for 20 dances and some backroom. What? How much did you? You weren't even there that long.
You gonna get me with that man? See, you can't get
Why'd
me.
you just-
You
why'd
can't
you-
get me just because man
why'd
CD
you-
got you. You cannot get me just because
Bro,
man CD
why
got
did you even say it was
No man CD, bro.
Why did you just
no
say
man
it?
CD?
He didn't. You just
He
snitched.
created a whole new wave. No man CD.
You just
Nah,
snitched.
there's a limit under $50. Okay, it's got to be under $50. That's in the fine print. Okay,
75.
Read the fine.
75 because I like you. If you're going through a spelling, if you're going through something in your life,
We are not playing hot though. I'm just letting you know.
we give you my ex girlfriend's a bitch discount, so I'm gonna throw 25 on there. You get 75, but it's 50 cap.
But yeah, Brett
God.
Favre's on the fuck out of here list. Let's move on.
Like he didn't stand for any of his teammates to get paid. Like he was always like, oh, let's just. He was like fucking modern day Elmer Fudd. Like he's like
And Aaron Rodgers is better than you.
way better. It's like
And Chandler was better than you. I don't even remember his first name, but he was better than you.
okay, we're not gonna do that. That was too far.
Well, didn't he start over him at the
just said
Falcons?
LeWard Boda's a Hall of Famer. Just leave it at that. But Brett Favre's been a hater. His
Matt
whole fucking
Hasselbeck
career.
was better than Brett Favre.
No, he wasn't. Again, stop it. You were in the lead. You're up 20. Now you're fucking up 7, and there's
Brian Brown was better
There's
than
a
him.
minute and 32
Brian Brown
seconds
was
left
better
in the
than him.
game, and all you have to do is you're about to choke.
Damn, dude, Green Bay's really had 2 quarterbacks for 3 decades.
Yeah.
That's wild.
If Julian Edelman gets in the Hall of Fame,
How do you have
to
2
put in
quarterbacks
Sterling
for 3
Sharp.
decades?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Patriots are there too.
Yeah.
Well, for 2 decades at least.
How can you only have like 3 winning seasons in fucking 25 decades?
Stop.
25
How do you only
years?
have 1 in 20 years? All right.
8 and 8 don't count.
His
Moving
last
on.
name is spelled different than how everyone says it.
Favre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like a known fact?
Yeah.
I'm late
Some-
on the- I'm
some
late
French-
on that one.
Slavery,
All right, full
plantation
français?
shit, probably.
So America does it again, butchering last names.
I mean, he's always been called Brett Favre, but it might be Favre. I mean,
That's
the only time I
That
ever
was a
heard
triple
that is
entendre.
when he was in something about Mary.
Why did you just try to say that like Mario and Luigi? Like, don't do that.
Won't do that. Well, anyway, let's move on. So Devonta Smith, is he too small to play?
Bro, what the fuck is your take or tangent, dog?
No, I haven't taken tangent on
Okay,
like,
go. Is that what this is? Just Kenny gives a take and a tangent on these 4 topics?
Kenny chimes when he wants to chime.
Okay.
Because because I was so
Oh, Kenny.
I was so annoyed by that stupid ass Raiders thing and all the shit that was happening.
That was an hour
That
ago.
was yesterday, bro. This is a whole new day.
Bro, I'm
We've
black.
had 2 interviews
All those
since
days
then.
piled on top of me.
Boo, drink.
No, I ain't gonna gaslight me. I just told you I'm black.
Wow.
No, Pete knows what I'm talking about. It's an inside joke that he does. I'd be
Like the
as a
first
proud,
20 that
as
first
a proud black man in America.
like the first 10 episodes when we started doing stuff at Good News, like somehow like every week it came back to like Kenny being like, dog, I'm a black man in America, like I can't do this, like I'm a black man in America.
It
like,
doesn't work
this
that
ain't
way.
for me. Like for like a solid 10 episodes, like it got to a point where people were like, hey bro, are you guys a race podcast? Like no, but like some shit was popping off. Like there was a reason why we were talking about it. But it was just like
So now
every week it was just like that was the center. Like that was the free space on your bingo card was like
like just to get this my existence off into the room, because some of the white people who are cops might not really care. As a black man in America, just want to say it was a lot of stupid racist bullshit that happened this week, but it happens to us every day on an ongoing hellscape of a cycle. So we're so immune to all the death and murder that it's like when something happens, we're like, okay.
I'm gonna let you finish, but shouldn't you save this for your rant at the end?
No, this is just the collect. I'm telling you, the collective just.
I'm just
dumpy
saying.
sigh. No, I have a different rant. Trust me, it's fucking amazing. But like,
That's the only thing you
Oh,
heard
you've been
today.
thinking about it for 2 hours.
That's what you've been
thinking about it
rehearsing
for
all
2
night in
hours.
his head.
more like 6 months, but I just said fuck it and left it alone. But nah, like for most black people, we just collectively are like, oh, you don't fucking get it. It's like if you brought potato salad with beans in them. Potato salad, and you put beans in it.
All right.
That's what you did. You didn't have to add the beans. You could have just brought the fucking salad and just sat down somewhere. You just...
All right. So
it's tiring.
So finish your Devonta Smith.
So
I'll
yeah.
take a tangent.
That one. So I'm really tired of people people. I don't know what happens when they get to the pros, but it's like a flip. When you're coming up, they say, "Oh, like colleges, you know how they overemphasize people's weights and heights because they don't want to really tell you that this kid is like 5'7", 135, and we just say he's like 160. You know, he's 5'8", 180. We just say that. I feel like they're judging them on what, like, this is what they actually are as a person. Like, he can't get any taller. That doesn't happen. He can put on weight, but you're acting like putting on weight will totally just diminish everything that he's done on tape. Like, oh, he's a little bit underweight. He can't play the position. But he has like a whole reel of him playing the position. And he was probably even lighter as a sophomore or freshman and was doing a similar thing. So all these stupid ass think pieces that probably end up in the dark, disgusting hallways of nobody who listens to these rooms on Clubhouse, where people are just talking about, oh, because this person is too light or this person is too heavy, they can't do their job. Y'all just look stupid. Chad Johnson played at 160. Marvin Harrison played at damn near 160. There's a bunch of receivers who, yeah, their profile in college said they were 190, but they were probably $150. So don't be surprised when you find out, oh shit, they were this weight the whole time. Well, they've been elite at what they did at whatever weight they were at. Harold Brown, 166, was still a deep threat. Steve Smith was probably not 175. But hey, 5'9".
You know what I just realized? Couldn't you just have hit space again and pause the video?
I think it was up here instead. I did press space.
All right.
Well, Devonta Smith.
Good Lord. That's
He's
it.
gonna have nightmares.
Hashtag sorry.
You don't have to have.
I'm just mad. Like, I didn't even know what happened. Like, I didn't even know how to solve it either. Like,
I was like, I knew what the answer was,
like,
but it's like, why is it not presenting itself? This is annoying.
I was so bad. Well, at least it's a hell of a story. At some point, Ryan, we're gonna have a beer laugh about that. Okay.
It's gonna become your favorite song.
You. First beer, I'll leave.
Oh my word! Wow.
All right, man. So next one, I don't know if you guys heard about the Lakers Twitter catfish, but essentially it goes something like this. So there was this Lakers podcast that popped up from like these two Laker Twitter people, you know, basically people who tweet during Laker games. They're part of the Laker fan community. They always tweet. Started this podcast. Like a few episodes in, and suddenly this dude tweets that his co-host, a longtime member of Laker Twitter, who had also been a leukemia survivor, had disappeared, was missing. And so all these Laker fans, some Laker players like Marcus Morris, other people in the NBA like KD, like beat reporters, like were tweeting about it, like, hey, help find this person. O'Shea Jackson chimed in, like, and then people were like, wait, do you like even know who this person is? Like, if they're real? And so then people started going back and they found like, oh, this person was somebody else back then. They took the podcast, slowed it down, and they were like, oh, it sounds like the other dude, but just with a higher pitch and faster pitch. So they slowed the pitch down. It sounded like a dude. And they're like, oh, well, turns out it's a catfish. They're connecting it to this guy, Josh Tucson, who is actually, it appears, according to the Mason Island show, is a CSUN alumni.
Let's fucking go. Scammers gonna scam.
So,
on the strength of the woo.
And that's the short story. But the long story is basically it got trending on Twitter, like real ass Twitter, national Twitter, not even California Twitter. It was trending on real ass Twitter. Help find Vivian, and turns out Vivian is really a dude who catfished like the fuck out of the world. So you got to take your tangent on fake fan cancer missing fiction.
Wow, it's a mouthful. He's gonna get his karma, but I mean, Clipper Twitter could never. You cheap fucking bastards. You could never Laker Twitter was like, "Where fam at?" They was about to bring a fucking prayer vigil out there in front of the train station. Laker Twitter moves with precision and speed. Clipper Twitter just has really good LeBron comebacks. Reasons why you get to
the perfect way. Somebody described this perfectly. They're like Clippers Twitter, absolutely no noise. Lakers Twitter, that Mean Girls meme where it's like, why are you so obsessed with me? Like, bruh, the Clippers don't even talk about the Lakers, but for some reason, the Lakers always got to slander the Clippers every chance they fucking get. Like, bruh, nobody's thinking about you.
Nobody's thinking about the Clippers doing what?
Exactly. See, you didn't even listen. This is exactly the point.
Clippers just be talking. See, he went on a think piece. I just tuned it out once you started talking about Clippers. I'm like, I'm gonna get my hair cut on Monday.
But yeah, man, to anybody making up fucking leukemia, clout thirsty catfish content, get a life, bro.
Have we forgiven Manti Te'o?
Get a life, man. Like,
yeah,
come on,
Manti Te'o had the fictional girlfriend,
and like
that was crazy.
The sports world is so weird right now that I can't believe that story had legs for 2.5 days. Like, they were talking about on the radio today, and that was Wednesday. Like,
that was great filler content.
KD was talking about it. Like, it was a whole thing,
bro.
I know, it was crazy.
So did they find out who the girl in the picture is?
Not officially, but yeah, they think it's the Josh Tucson, who was the other co-host on that
girl's
podcast.
Pictures he was using.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Oh, he photoshopped that shit? That's not a real person?
I think it was both.
Yeah.
I think it was like he co-opted somebody else's photo. I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't read on it today. I'm sure there's more developments today.
He rated it.
Yeah, something like that. No. All right, let's move to touchdown or turnover, please. All right, so in case you missed it, the NFL officially changed rules with jerseys today. Or not today, this week. Essentially opening up numbers like 1 through 49 for receivers, which if a receiver wears a number fucking 45, I'm going to slap the shit out of him. Just saying. Sorry. And a bunch of other... Basically, they opened up the numbers for everybody except for linemen.
So, fuck y'all.
So, touchdown and turnover, numbers rule changing. Brady says it's a turnover and it sucks. What do you think, Kenny?
Y'all making me agree with Tom Brady, dog. Enough.
Like, that's how you know.
You're making me feel like Yamcha and this motherfucker's Vegeta. Stop it.
Supposedly, there are rumors that if you already have a jersey, you can trade it in if your player gets a new one. But yeah, I don't really believe that. I don't believe it until I see it. So, on my end, I just see it as a way for them to get new money because everyone's going to have different numbers.
Yeah, it's more like they're trying to get on the college football hype. Because imagine if you're a college player trying to get money off your number. Well, if somebody in the NFL is wearing 0 compared to you wearing 0, well, then you're kind of flooding the market. So if they know, yeah, you can make money off your likeness, but it's going to be pennies off whatever the athletes above you get. What are you going to do? And
what you're saying.
What if schools want to say, okay, we'll just have custom uniforms where we mimic logos but change up color schemes. So
like those NCAA created teams.
Yeah. So you could say technically, yes, this is legally standing by itself. You could probably make
my Oakland Tech Raiders.
Yeah. Like, if I wanted to make Lawndale High School football team.
I used to always make a Raiders team, like a Oakland State or Oakland Tech.
Yeah. Is Lester Hayes in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. All right, sorry, finish.
But yeah.
All right. That's pretty much it. So, next one, Jameis Winston gave a great speech this week to a bunch of kids at a Florida State camp, essentially saying, don't listen to people, believe in yourself, People are going to tell you you can't make it, you can't do it, just believe in yourself. So, touchdown or turnover, Jameis Winston's motivational speech this week.
You're leaving out the part where he shoved his foot in his mouth.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You're leaving the part where, like...
I didn't see that.
He was going good, and then he pulled the fucking Raiders.
I did not see that, bro. The video you sent me did not have that.
So what he said was, brace yourself, gird your loins. He said, I went from being a first overall pick to everybody laughing at me. But you know what I'm doing? I'm outworking everybody. And yes, Dak, that includes you.
Damn, son. Where'd you find this at?
So he said that. Anybody else would be like, okay, that's fair. You know, from being a first round pick to being laughed at, but I'm outworking you. Yeah, you too, Dak Prescott, who had your fucking leg shattered and already coming back throwing, and you got paid like one of the richest contracts ever. I'm actually trying to get to where you're trying to go, even though I was actually the number 1 overall pick and fucked it all up. And I keep putting my foot in my mouth a little bit. Yeah, it would. It was like, had you just stopped at before that, you'd have been fine. But you just shat and fell back in it. Like, he didn't even have to say, I'm working harder than you, Dak. Because, no, I know you're not working harder than him, because he was drafted much later than you, got injured, and even in that stretch of him playing before he got hurt was greater than any point of your career. So you probably shouldn't try to jostle and banter. You're punching up at Dak Prescott. You're not punching at him. Even though he got injured, he's still better than you. And you don't do that in front of little kids. It creates a weird power dynamic that they think will work for them later in life, when in reality it doesn't. When you're like trying to go at somebody who you know you can't reach on the team, and they think they can do that, so then they're either the type that is a pain in the ass because they're always argumentative for the sake of being argumentative, or they're poking always at the wrong issue. So, yeah.
Wow.
All right, sorry.
I lost the last one of my points, but that was pretty much it.
All right. Last one. Raiders waived a couple players this week. Mo Hurst, Arden Key. Underachieving players who were also like considered good draft values at the time. Two of the last remaining players of the McKenzie Gruden draft. Lo and behold, they both signed with the 49ers. So, touchdown or turnover, Arden Key and Mo Hurst signing with the 49ers. I'm going to say it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because they have something they never had in the Raiders, which is a premium pass rusher in Joey Bosa. And, oh, yeah, you just have two freakishly athletic first-round picks in Kinlaw and Arik Armstead. So even if those two dudes are mediocre, they can get 6 sacks this season. Because guess what? Like, the 49ers always have some random player who gets 5 sacks. Like, 4 sacks. Like, the past 4 years, they've had random guys get 3.5, 4.5, 5, 6 sacks. So if you got guys who were once potential first-round picks that slid to the middle rounds, you can get those guys to even reach 60, 70% of their potential. You have something there.
Yeah, because, I mean, the likelihood of them missing on D linemen, historically, it's just, they don't miss.
Yeah. And
it doesn't matter where they draft from, they don't miss. And those schemes are perfect for Hurst and Key. So, we'll see what happens.
All right, so let's get to the rants then. Either of you want to go first? Izzy, Eric?
I don't really have anything.
School. Your school's finishing up.
Oh.
What's
fine,
up?
Bro. School's kicking my ass, man. But my teacher canceled class today.
Wow.
Like, she was like, how are you guys feeling? And everyone was like,
Shitty.
burnt out. Yeah. She was like, me too. So this week's class, I can do the lecture next week because it's kind of, they're both supposed to be short lectures. And then I was like, zoom, gotta go. And I came here. But it's good to see you, Eric, again.
Good to see you.
And yeah, I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know was going on in the football world.
Eric? Mr. Dodger?
Just randomly wearing blue stuff today.
I thought you said daughter.
No. Actually, my brother just told me he's expecting, so that just happened this week.
Hey,
So.
congrats.
Congrats. Just kind of big things.
Theo Eric.
What?
Theo Eric.
Theo, yeah, for sure. Who knows? I mean, God, that's crazy. But just all the stuff he's gone through. So I'm very happy for my brother and everything. And the other big thing, my dad's actually moving out of the country after everything he went through last year. So I'm going to actually be there this week to Arizona to go see him off. And keeps trying to pawn off these very ugly paintings. Dad, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but I don't want those things. I know they're expensive, but I live in a little apartment in L.A. You just sold a 4-bedroom house in Arizona. I have no room for all that stuff, but thank you. But I am gonna. It's just kind of weird seeing my dad have to take off to a different country, and I mean, maybe now with the news of my brother having a little kid, he might change his mind and come right back to the States. But it's just kind of a weird thing because my dad, instead of being a state away, is going to be half a world away. So yeah, I'm just
Where's he going?
He's going to Colombia. He's from Medellin, Colombia, and then it's kind of funny. Like his family immigrated to the States, and then my grandmother retired down there because different and happy, and so my dad's like retiring and going down to Colombia. So it's just it's just nuts. So I wish my dad the best, and I hope everything goes well, and then I hope gets to a point where me and my wife can go visit you down there. So that's all.
Dope, fantastic. I got a quick one. So my little sister asked me to buy her a textbook for one of her classes. I was like, sure, whatever. Bear with me on this.
Didn't you say it was a short one?
Yeah, it is. All of you out there who are going through school, been through school, I just want you to think in your head of how much in one semester you had to spend for textbooks. What was the most you ever had to spend? Think of that number in your head. Now, 500.
Yeah, I was thinking the same number.
Yeah.
Okay, 500 from the ether. 500. We'll just put that as the cap. So, yeah, so for the class that she needs, it's like English A. It's not an English 1A. It's like English A. So I'm like, okay, a book like that, it shouldn't cost that much. It's an online class anyway, which feeds to the point, how can you have a limited number of seats in an online class? But that's a whole other issue. So you factor all that in, and you go, okay, your book shouldn't cost more than like $100. My sister tells me 14th edition of this book she's going to get. Guess how much that was on Amazon? Anybody want to guess? Throw out a number.
$250.
Close. There were 3 prices. The first price was $768.
Jesus.
What?
Yes. Now, mind you, she's at a junior college. 4. Like, she's taking $146 worth of units. Mm-hmm. And that's tuition. The book, one of the versions of the books, cost pretty much $800, like $768 plus tax. Second book on Amazon, $875. The last one, $954 plus tax.
Why?
I'm like, $1,000 for a fucking workbook for English class that isn't even like the highest English class.
No, she can get through it without it.
Yeah.
I was like, she's like, you want me to pay for this? You want me to pay for this? I was like, y'all ass gonna go on Chegg. You're on Chegg, you're gonna find. I found the first edition for $20. I was like, what you want to do? $900, $1,000. That's the K-ball. You know what I can do with $1,000? She don't really know. She's not of age yet. Like, life hasn't crushed her dreams. What is $1,000?
$1,000 book. It sounds like pretty dream crushing there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about adult dreams. Adult dreams are like having a 3-day weekend with nothing to do and your job never calling you, drinking a beer at the pool.
That sounds so good. I hope that happens this weekend.
What do you think I did today? Oh, shit. But, yeah, just
Took up all my rant time.
a little
Maybe
bit.
missed my Uber.
Possibly.
Hurry up!
All I know is
It was a short
$1,000 for a fucking book. It blew my mind, and it got me mad while I was high at the beach earlier today. I was like, who the fuck is paying $1,000? Just get a different teacher. Like, that teacher's scamming. He's on the take.
Yeah, $1,000 for
That's a
Yeah.
ripoff.
textbook.
At a
Jesus
junior
Christ.
college in the pandemic, I want to fight him. I need to fight 3 people in his family. But
Maybe
yeah.
he wrote the book.
Maybe you get like English for
probably
dummies
did.
for like $40.
And it's a workbook included. I was like, that don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
All right.
math don't add up.
Well, shout out to my brother. He just finished up his first football season. Losing finished 2-2.
Losing.
As I called last week, when I called in, they beat the shit out of Hawthorne. Hawthorne was down to 10 players and had to forfeit at halftime, 52-0. But yeah, man, hopefully they get the program together and start building something to rival the greatness that is Lawndale. But yeah, man, just proud to see that process underway.
Is it a rivalry if you never beat them?
Not really.
Actually, no. Actually, losing or beating Lawndale once. It was an ass kicking.
But yeah, anyways. Outside of that, I spent last week doing the Maynard 200 Fellowship, which was awesome. Really life-changing experience. Just a group of people that, like, I really feel like I actually might have found my tribe. Or, like, at least a part of them. Because there's so many spaces I go into where it's like, I'm the brownest person or loudest person or poorest person in the room. And like, even as a journalist, like, it's something you kind of learn to navigate, but like seeing all these other people who are journalists, like capital J journalists, the people that speak at conferences, the people that, you know, you see at prominent publications or have worked at prominent publications, and they're still just somewhat not floundering, but just, you know, facing the same problems that, you know, we on this podcast and our friends are facing, you know, just trying to figure out the world that is news and content, and you see that vulnerability, and it's like, it makes you feel not alone, but it also gives you hope. Like, hey, there are other people out there trying to figure it out. And so it was really a great experience. It's not over. It's still going to be a lot of one-on-one mentoring and another boot camp in November. So looking forward to continuing that process. And yeah, other than that, man, my birthday's next week. Finally going to get a break this weekend. Going out to Eric's old stomping grounds, Phoenix. So my buddy lives out there. It's just far enough to be like drivable, but like,
But out.
yeah, exactly.
What are you doing in Phoenix?
Just meeting up with my buddy. I don't know.
Bar hopping
Figure
in
it out.
Scottsdale or what?
Something like that. Figure it out. Whatever happens.
Kids coming?
Fuck no.
Who's watching the kids?
They're friends.
Just don't get
nobody
arrested,
died.
guys. If you're listening, just, you know, don't throw a party at the house, and if you
Don't
do,
die.
better fucking clean it.
They'll be at their old house, their old area. So hopefully won't get too bad, but who knows. Anyways, but yeah, other than that, man, just looking forward to continuing on with the show and the draft next week. Yeah, shout out to X Squad affiliates, shout out to FBC Radio, shout out to Gilbert, shout out to Ryan, shout out to everybody who messes with us. This was a crazy episode, good and bad, but we thank you for listening to us. Touchdownsandtangents.com, everywhere else you find podcasts. Listen in, give us feedback.
And
Thank
make
you.
sure you find your beach.
Wow, Corona commercial.
Find your
Right.
beach.
Wow, he can actually hit stop. The first thing he did this whole show was hit stop.
I know, right?